Friends, the topic is what is the best, what are the criteria for selecting a developer? And some of the criteria are missing, and that's why I want to put up a video on this. And see, normally what happens is societies or members of societies normally would want to have a builder who gives, they look at corpus, area, rent. These are the main considerations while selecting a developer. Sometimes they do site visit, they see the quality of construction and so on. But they miss out two important criteria that are required while selection of a developer. And can you just think about it, just for a second or so? Okay. So the first criteria, I would say that you can have 5-6 check boxes, and you can tick the check boxes and say that this is the checkbox I want to fill in, this is the checkbox I want to fill in. So the first checkbox is you should see whether the developer or a builder is doing projects on time. That is the first checkbox you have to see. Why I am saying that is because in Mumbai and other places, I have heard that there are about 5,000 building constructions that are stayed for a long time. People are not having, they've given up their housing and they are staying somewhere else on rent, and they are in a very difficult position. And they do not know what is while selecting the developer, they have not done the proper consideration, and that is the problem that they face now. If supposing at the time of selection, what you have to do is to see the record of the builder developer, whether he is doing the construction on time, what is his record, whether he is completing the projects in 3 to 4 years, if there are current projects, whether he is adhering to schedule, and whether there are complaints of not able to complete the projects on time. No doubt Maharera has given a timeline and all that, but still there are mishaps happening, and people are still not getting the right guidance. Say, if supposing while selecting the developer, if you have done this homework, then future problems will not come. RERA or no RERA, you have to do this check. In fact, the reason why Maharera says that you have to give it in 3 years' time and all that is basically because builders earlier have not given on time, and even now there are developers who are not giving on time, on schedule. There are complaints in Maharera, police complaints are happening. So you will have to do the first check, that whether he is doing the redevelopment on time. The second main criteria, and if supposing there is a builder is not able to do it on time, there has to be a reason, and that is the second checkbox. The second checkbox is what are his financial problems, or how is his finance, whether he is financially sound, financially good, or he is in a problem. If he is in a problem, then the first criteria will always be there, that he will not be able to deliver on time. It is because he is not able to deliver it on time. The main reason is that it is his financial problem. Most of the time it is his financial problem. What happens is he may have taken too many projects and he is not able to sell those projects and his finance is too thinly spread. The second problem is that he is not doing, because of his reputation, the investor community. There is a certain sect of investor community which for gains purpose or something, trying to earn. Because in the real estate, if you are doing investment at the start of the project, by 3 years you get about 40% returns and so on, at least. And they do that for investment purpose. Then of course there is buyer. Now buyer also looks at this criteria while going into the project and all that, but not so much as the investor community looks at. So his projects are not being able to sell, and whatever may be the reason, his marketing team is not good, or that he has some problems with other issues like finance and all that. So let us come to the problem of finance. The main problem of a builder in finance is his cash flow. Now you have to understand that what is a cash flow. Cash flow is that your expenses, actual expenses have to be met with actual money. Now actual expenses are whatever, like say for example, your overhead cost, construction cost, marketing overheads, all those have to be are actual expenses that can happen. Against that you have to have an actual money flowing in. Now what does it mean? Say supposing you do a sale. Now the sale may be 1 crore, 2 crore, but the initial money that comes in is 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 30 lakh and so on. So the buyer pays only 30 lakhs or something like that. Now that kind of money has to actually match the actual expenses. So the actual money flowing in has to match the actual expenses. Now this is where the problem comes in, that many of the developers do not have the are not able to meet the cash flow. Many times they have to give flat on rent. They have to give the rental expenses of the existing members in a redevelopment project, and corpus and so many things are there. Now after that, then the premiums to be paid to the BMC or whatever authorities are there. So there is a lot of expense that he has already incurred. Plus there is a infrastructure overhead expense that is there. Running costs are there. So all these expenses have to be met, and this is where the problem comes in. Then he borrows, and he borrows to some extent, but the problem is still there. Then he has to borrow more, and it keeps on going, and it keeps on going till it becomes a big balloon, and then the balloon bursts, and he is declared as a bankrupt. That is what has happened since the 5-6 years that we have seen, since 2017 and all that. When the municipal police commissioner of Mumbai issued a circular to all the police stations to file a case under MOFA against all the developers. There are many developers we have seen have gone to jail, and once he is in jail, his whole working comes to a stop. And the banks that are there, banks would basically what they do is they have the first claim on the land and all that, land or whatever property is there. They try to sell it and get whatever money is available and close it. Say that is the Indian bankruptcy code. They are given good powers where they can recover the funds, not to the full extent but to a large extent. I would like to give a small example of a person who is earning some money. Supposing his or his expenses. If let us say a person wants to this cash flow issue, I would just want to give an example and understand how it is basically, because it is not always very easily understandable that how this cash flow works. And for that I am giving an example. Say a person is earning 25,000 rupees, and his expenses are 50,000 rupees. Now where will he get that money from? Let us say he borrows 25,000 rupees. He thinks that I can earn more and get more. This 25,000 is his actual expense, 25,000 is his actual income, and 50,000 is his actual expense. So he may have some money, he may savings he can spend, through savings he can do the spending, and then he starts borrowing. After a period of time, the loan amount is so high that the interest burden goes up, even puts him in problem. So instead of 50,000, he starts including interest 60,000 rupees. 10,000 is additional burden and so on. So this keeps on going, and maybe it touches a lakh or so. So in such a case, what would he do? Banks will maybe whatever mortgage he has kept, house and whatever. And this is happening. If you go through a website called foreclosure.com, people have taken loans on for business and all that. And then the flat is being auctioned and some person buys. whatever money banks get, loan and all that, they take that money first and balance give it to the person who is holding that flat, the existing holder. So this is what will happen with these developers. So we have to understand that these are the two main check boxes. One is the basically the, the, that if the builder has to complete the project within 2-3 years, his record, and secondly, what is his finance. Now I'll come to the second part of this program. That what if supposing the society while doing the redevelopment doesn't uh, take into consideration this problem. What are the supposing this situation goes bad, if they don't do a preventive checkup on this, later on they are going to face a problem. What is the solution for them? What can they do? I am very I have to say with regret that there can be very little that the existing society members can do about this project, except for the development agreement, which is which comes under civil laws. He has very little recourse to ensure that that the project is completed on time, and there are a lot of problems, litigations, and other things he can face. The thing is that he can file a civil code, but there is no criminal sections, there is no authority like Maharera, which can ensure that the project is done on time. For the sellable component, that is a project being sold and there are buyers, there is a lot of recourse, there is a lot of help that is there now. Maharera is there. He can go to the consumer court. He can file criminal cases. Say now that Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is there, the equivalent of under earlier IPC 420, he can put a case under that. MOFA has got sections which provide for punishment, criminal. There is a criminal sections in MOFA, and for breach of trust there is a severe clause on that. Then there is a very big law called Maharashtra Protection of Investors Depositors Act, MPID. Now this is a very stringent law. There are separate codes for that. There is a competent authority. Bail is very difficult to get. 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. The developer goes into jail. And most of the developers today are facing this problem. So, an existing member of the society has very little recourse, whereas the sellable component, that is the persons who buy the flats, have some recourse. But in spite of that, many are still facing problems. It is not that he can get a flat or his money back. That is the problem, because he has so borrowed heavily that he is not able to pay the institutions. The institutions start harassing that, and it can go into a kind of bankruptcy that will delay the projects, and so many things can happen. So it is wise to see that at the time of giving the DA, that is the development agreement, the first two check boxes, whether the builder is completing the earlier projects on time, whether he is doing it also, and what is his financial strength or a financial weakness. These are the two important things you have to see. I hope this video does help you. If so, please like and share this video, and please subscribe to this channel so that we can keep updated of any new videos that will happen. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.